We've been looted, pillaged, raped and plundered for decades, says Donald Trump, as he announces that the United States will be imposing tariffs ranging from 10 to 49% on countries around the world. The EU will be hit by a 20% levy, he says, the UK and Brazil by 10%, India by 26%, but Cambodia and Vietnam will be among the worst affected. Speaking there from the Rose Garden, the US President said the minimum baseline tariff would be 10% overall, and he claimed that America was being ripped off but would now be entering what he said would be a golden age. Well, for more, let's cross live to Marcus Noland. He's standing by for us. He is Executive Vice President of the Peterson Institute for International Economies. Thanks so much for being with us this evening, Marcus. We heard some strong words there from the US President referring to foreign cheaters and scavengers. What did you make of all of that? Are we in worst case scenario here? I guess it depends on your perspective, which country you're based in.
Yeah, well, it wasn't the apocalypse, but it was close. Seemingly random high tariffs imposed on various countries, including free trade partners. So South Korea is a free trade partner, but they're getting a 25% tariff. The other free trade partners are getting 10, including Singapore, which has no tariffs on anything. So this is really pretty bad. It has an unclear basis in American law. He sort of vaguely referred to, or sort of insinuated he could do this under what is called the International Economic Emergency Policy Act, but there's got to be a real emergency. And saying that we've had a trade deficit for a long time, I'm not sure that really rises to the level of a national emergency. And this is likely to be challenged in the United States in the courts. But this is really not good. Higher automobile costs, there are going to be higher costs for clothing because of all the clothing we source in those countries, low wage countries where the tariffs are the highest. There's going to be transshipments as people try to avoid tariffs. And this isn't the end. If this were the end, I mean, everyone could kind of adjust and move on, but he started a process that's going to continue for the next 3 years.
Trump is a deal maker, though. Do you think that if there's going to be room for countries to negotiate downwards? Donald Trump did suggest during that speech that he was expecting to be getting calls from various world leaders over the next few days. What do you think is going to happen? Is all of this set in stone for now? We've seen already that this has been really an on-again, off-again trade war. So what happens now, and how quickly can these measures be imposed?
Yeah, he is very transactional, and I would expect that he would want other countries to come to him and try to negotiate the tariffs down. But it's really interesting. If you just glance at this list, Turkey, 10%. They're at the very bottom, even though they have lots of trade barriers. Brazil is at 10%. It appears that he's already treating countries with a certain degree of favoritism. And what this does is, frankly, it sets up opportunities for corruption. So that, you basically pay to get a waiver or an exemption. So like I said, this isn't over. This is just the beginning.
And what did you make of the fact that the EU is going to be facing a 20% levy? Donald Trump has been very critical of Brussels. Do you think that's perhaps going to be met with a sigh of relief in European capitals?
No, I think 25% was about what Europeans were expecting, and I expect them to retaliate. So again, this isn't over. And rumored in the European retaliation lists are American service providers. So far, Trump is stuck to merchandise trade. But if the EU retaliates in the service sector, he might broaden these restrictions to service providers as well, in effect putting tariffs on imports of services. So this is just the first move, and this is going to keep on going forward. It is going to be nasty. There is going to be slower growth, more unemployment, and higher prices worldwide.
And what about Donald Trump's claim that this is all going to restore fairness when it comes to global trading?
Well, I mean, the use of the term reciprocity in this context is Orwellian. These aren't reciprocal tariffs. These are unilateral, arbitrary tariffs that Trump is imposing on the rest of the world with unclear basis in U.S. law and no reference to existing WTO obligations or obligations to our free trade partners. This is the United States completely untethered. This is the United States going rogue.
And how then do you think that other countries are going to react, and when will we start getting that reaction coming in, do you think?
Well, I think the stock markets are going to be reacting very soon in Asia. And then they'll sweep around the world to Europe and eventually to the United States. I expect the stock markets to all be down. It really is just an unfortunate, avoidable policy errors on the part of the United States that is going to have global repercussions. And it will be felt the worst in the poorest countries, where places like Cambodia, where he's hitting them with a 49% tariff. The countries least able to withstand this blow are getting hit. It's